I thought I said click live and then it said I didn't go live, but now we are live, believe it or not. We are in the fourth
We're
Thursday of
here.
January 2025. Larry Mastropieri, broker owner of the Mastropieri Group, joining me, John Laws of Discover South Florida. And Larry, your good friend Elon Musk is up and at him again in West Palm Beach. Some of the latest reports, I don't know if you saw this, this was a little earlier this week, has still been rumored to possibly purchase a penthouse in West Palm Beach. You know, I mean, I figured he wanted to live at Mar-a-Lago. I mean, why not? But here we are, and you know, Elon likes. I think he likes South Florida. What is your initial reaction to seeing this?
I think he wants to hang out with Trump more. Maybe keep an eye on him.
You know, I do wonder. I do wonder, like, how much time, you know, Trump is going to continue to spend in South Florida over the course of these next 4 years, because, you know, that's always the criticism. And it's not just him. Like, don't you remember, you know, W would always spend too much time at his ranch in Crawford, or, you know, Obama's at Camp David. I mean, whoever. It's like, well, you know, I mean, if you can work remote, I guess you can work remote now more than ever, except for all the federal employees that he just signed, you know, to go back to the office. So there's that too.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah. Yeah. So,
yeah, I think that's why Elon wants to make sure Trump's in the office too, with the rest of his employees.
Oh man, I was gonna say that inauguration day. I mean, it's like, I don't know. I love. I just like being amused by all this. Hopefully, it doesn't have a negative impact on everything, particularly in the real estate world over the next few years. But it just, oh man, it cracks me up. He just puts it all out there. So you can't say we won't be entertained over this time. But,
hell yeah.
So this is a look at the Bristol, is it? I don't know.
So just to fill everybody in who isn't filled in already, probably most people have seen some of the news clips here, but supposedly Elon Musk is eyeing $100 million penthouse at the Bristol in downtown West Palm Beach. So what you see there is the Bristol Tower, but beyond that is Palm Beach Island, right, where all the billionaires live. So he's, I guess, looking at the penthouse here. The penthouse doesn't seem to be for sale on like the MLS. So that's kind of interesting. Maybe this is an off-market transaction. Maybe this is complete nonsense. Who knows? But they say he might be buying this, right? Which is kind of neat. Yeah.
And it's funny you mentioned that with the off-market purchase. You know, we've talked about on here before guys like Billy Joel who have purchased places in South Florida. You know, a number of people have done it, and you can look into the MLS and figure out who they are. How common is it to have, you know, non-public purchases like this, off the market, if you will, to, you know, do that? I mean, when you're like the big time player, does no one even know it happens, or what?
I would say there's a fair amount of transactions that happen off market, but the majority of transactions happen on the MLS. There's usually brokers involved, even if it happens off market, especially at this, you know, at this level. But yeah, I mean, even in our world here in the, you know, sub $10 million range, we're transacting probably 1 to 3 properties a month before they hit the market sometimes, just because we know where to go for the specific buyer. And in this case, $100 million penthouse, there's probably only a handful of people that have interest in that, right? So it maybe doesn't need to be advertised in a specific way. What's interesting, when this popped up, I went ahead and, you know, pulled up the information to see. Let's take a look at this so we could share it with everyone. What this $100 million penthouse looks like, but couldn't find it. But found some other listings in the building. What's interesting, I'll show you that in a second. But this is the location. So right in downtown, right. This is City Place right here, right on the water. You know, amazing view, good access, right? So
interesting. So, yeah. You know, we've done, you know, talk about like the Boca Trophy and other properties in this county that obviously are worth a whole lot. $100 million for a penthouse. That just seems exorbitant, even for here.
Yeah, so it's a penthouse. They claim it's about 19,000 square feet, right? The penthouse that he's looking at. And if you look at the other units in the building, by the way, this building is pretty new. It's like a 2019, 2020 build, right? So So you can see, cheapest stuff in the building that's sold is $12 million. They got a few listings in here between 14 and 25. So, these are real.
So that's, I mean, but that's exactly my point. I mean, that's like 300% more to buy the penthouse. That still seems like quite a disparity.
But look at the square feet. So for a $21 million active listing, you're 4,700 square feet. Multiply that by 5 or 4, right?
Yeah. All right.
And maybe you're close to that. And then maybe you're close to that 100 million mark. Maybe the 100 million is a little pricey. Maybe not. I mean, here's one that sold for 27 million, but was closer to 10,000 square feet. This one was the penthouse. Was one of the penthouse shots. Check this out. Like, this place is pretty sweet.
Oh man, it's like, so it was an art museum, and I decided to live in there.
Yeah, it's awesome. I mean, this is incredible. And that view that I just showed you, amazing, right?
Well, right. I was going to say, I mean, I've been along there enough times to have an imagination to see what that could possibly look like, because it doesn't, wow. I was going to say, you may have your Mar-a-Lago.
Look at that
Donald, view. But you won't beat this view.
Yeah, that's crazy. That's an incredible view, straight down the Intercoastal. I mean, you can't. I mean, that's incredible. And then you get a city view too. Look at that.
Right.
Not a bad. For some of these big players, as West Palm is growing, developing, this may not be a bad investment over time for some of these real big guys like Elon Musk, who can just hold $100 million apartment forever. So.
True. Yeah. I was going to say, well, I mean, I got a birthday coming up, so if it's open again and you feel like getting me something, I won't object, Yeah. Oh, man.
So, but that's a big boost to, that's like these big names, shopping here and looking and maybe acquiring property here. There's already tons of secret billionaires that live in West Palm, but, to have Elon Musk buy something here is kind of cool. It creates optimism for the future of West Palm, right?
And what I found fascinating, and I think we've talked about this a little bit before, when I think about traditional celebrities out in Southern California and places like that, it's like their places are kind of away, but they can't help themselves. They still want to be seen, like they still want to be out and about. They love to hate it that they're in the tabloids and things like that. When people move here, generally speaking, high profile like that, they actually don't want to be seen. They really don't. I mean, because we've talked about all the guys that are up in Jupiter and stuff. I mean, I used to spend time up there. I never saw them. Not the PGA guys, but like the Michael Jordans and people like that.
There's so much secret wealth in Palm Beach.
There really is.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
So congratulations to them and their secret wealth.
And so with that, we'll move on from our topic of news tonight to our featured city that we're going to go over, right?
That's right. The one and only Coconut Creek, Florida. And for those of you that aren't familiar with Coconut Creek, Florida, it's located just west of Pompano Beach, so in that North Broward County. It also happens to be the butterfly sanctuary. I guess I don't know if it calls it the butterfly capital of the world. Oh, it's the butterfly world. I haven't been there. I'm sure you hung out there a lot, but
always. I'm always at
the well, I always see the signs for it. I'm not going to lie to you. I haven't been there just yet. But the city itself covers approximately 12 square miles, 57,000 residents. And based on the information we were able to gather, Coconut Creek was named after the abundance of coconut palms in the area, and it became incorporated city in 1967. So, Larry, now that those coconut palms have been removed mostly from Coconut Creek, what do we have there now that stands out to you when you think about Coconut Creek and places that you buy and sell?
Coconut Creek's kind of like a hidden little city. It's one of the smaller little cities in the area, right? 12 square miles. You mentioned that. 57,000 residents, which is smaller compared to Pompano or Boca or even Parkland, right? Parkland's a little bit more than that. So, I mean, this is, what's surprising about Coconut Creek from my perspective? There's a fair amount of parks and green space. And we can talk about that. Let me show you on the map. It's kind of kind of neat if you kind of just look at it overall. Thank you for adjusting my screen. You can see there's just like a lot of green space kind of hidden all over here. Tradewinds Park, we'll talk about that in a few. Butterfly World, as we were talking about. And then there's the future project that we'll talk about in a little bit, that 200-acre project where they're building like mixed use, but also interesting park space into all that, which is cool. But yeah, I just felt like when I was looking at this, because the city's like, hold on, you zoom out, you can see it's a weird sliver. It's kind of weird shaped, right?
Yeah.
And it's like slammed in between like Parkland, Coral Springs, Margate, Pompano, Deerfield Beach. So I think people, when they're in Coconut Creek, sometimes they don't even appreciate that or realize that they're in Coconut Creek, right? So yeah.
Like, where am I?
Yeah. Yeah. So for such a small little sliver, like, or random parcels, if you will, there's a fair amount of green space, in my opinion. So
yeah, according to the notes, over 50 parks and greenways promoting outdoor activities and a healthy lifestyle. Well,
that's right. There you go.
And it's very safe, which, certainly don't take that for granted. With, there's a lot of places here. I mean, I don't hang out at Riviera Beach a lot. Yeah, they say Coconut Creek is safer than 63% of cities in Florida, 1.2 violent crimes per 1,000 residents, which is significantly below the national average of 4 per 1,000. Well, that's always good. And the property crime rate is low as well, 10 per 1,000 residents compared to the U.S. average of 19 per 1,000. What's happening to our country, man? 19 per 1,000 residents, property crime. Anyway.
Yeah. Right, so Coconut Creek is considered relatively safe. Yeah.
All right. Well, that's good to know. And there also are a lot of dining and culinary places you can check out. I know you had mentioned you've been to a few of these places. Which would you like to discuss? Let's
talk about it. So as you know, I used to, coming out in college and coming out of college, I was working at a power plant right down the street from there as an engineer. And so we spent a lot of time in Coconut Creek. So I know Coconut Creek pretty well. And so some comments around that. There's a one big anchor place that everybody kind of knows, which is the Promenade at Coconut Creek. Right. All right. And so you said you haven't been there, but
no, I haven't.
I've been to like all these places on this list here. I'll show you. Hold on. So, this is, we'll talk about that later. All right. So the Promenade, here we go. So Promenade, located kind of right off Wiles, I believe it is. Let me make sure Wiles Road. It's like this, it's not huge, but it's kind of like a small little Meisner Park in Coconut Creek. Bunch of restaurants, movie theater, some shopping, just cool little place. You can go park your car and then like walk around, check stuff out, jump in some of these restaurants. And it's got some really cool restaurants. Like some restaurants I wish we had like locally here in Boca. And by the way, Coconut Creek isn't too far from where we're at, right? It's like tops 20 minutes. Naturally. You can get there in 15 if you hit the traffic right. But Cooper's Hawk Winery is a pretty cool spot. They specialize in wine, obviously, but they have a ton of different wines, good food, great place to hang out. And let me show you. Is this Cooper's Hawk? Yeah, Cooper's Hawk. Here we go. So this is kind of what it looks like inside. But I just really like this place. This place is great. So great spot for food and wine. World of Beer is really popular.
I like the name. I feel like I turn into Homer Simpson just hearing that name.
Yeah, it's like a sports bar, like, right? So that's so funny.
World of Beer.
World of Beer, and you can get a card, and you get like, what do you get? You get like points or gifts or rewards for drinking X amount of beers, or different beers from around the world.
Oh, I like the sound of that.
Yeah, so it's cool. It's a cool spot too. So
selection.
A lot of like the local companies, they'll like host events at like World of Beer or Cooper's Hawk. And then I don't think I have it up, but Ethos is a Greek restaurant right there too, which is also really good. I've frequently met clients there at Ethos because it's kind of got this outdoor space that's kind of nice. So it's pretty cool. Yeah. Great
All
little
right.
place to go out on Friday night, Saturday night. Awesome. Hang out.
That's interesting.
Food.
Yeah. So then you also have places. I don't know why the New York Steak here is mentioned located within the Seminole Casino.
Well, that's the next like big thing that Coconut Creek has, right? Besides the parks that we can talk a little bit more about here in a second, but like the Seminole Casino, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of a big deal. I'll show you where that is on the map here too.
Interesting.
Yeah. Oh, that's cool. John, I got rid of you.
I know. I noticed.
Not cool. Yeah. So Seminole Casino, kind of centrally located within Coconut Creek, right off of, what road is this? 441 and Sample. And this is a pretty popular casino. There's a few in the area. We talked about the one in Pompano, right? The Harris.
Right.
Seminole is also pretty popular. Harris has a much bigger development, a much bigger footprint, but this casino is well known as well. And a lot of people go there to gamble. 2,000 slot machines. They have concerts, comedy shows. They got it all going on, right? So I wanted to show you some pictures. So this is kind of what it looks like from water view, right? I mean, it's nice. It's not anything. It's not as big as Harris from my perspective, but
that's interesting. Yeah, I haven't been by there. No, I love how they stick the casinos so randomly. It seems like, within these places, kind of in Broward County.
Yeah, right. That's true. Is there casinos in?
I mean, you got the one obviously in Pompano, and then Hard Rock's so farther south.
Yeah, there's a fair amount of casinos in Broward.
Mm-hmm. So if you need to get your gamble on, you go to Broward.
Hell yeah! No, I know clients that we sold houses to, and like they wanted to be close.
To. I mean, it's like I can understand, especially like the retired community, as long as you're doing it, responsibly. But yeah, I mean, they love spending time at the casinos. It's not my jam, but to each their own.
Yeah, totally. I mean, this is great. So this is a great spot. One of the more. Here's a good example of like one of the concerts they do outside, right? So.
Yeah, it's funny you say that because, I mean, sometimes I see when acts are coming through, then, so that's the Seminole Casino there.
Yeah.
Interesting. Rocking out the Joan Jett.
Here we go. Old lady getting after.
I mean, isn't that exactly what you would imagine? I mean, nothing wrong with that. But that's exactly what I would picture. Working the slots, have fun. And you come with you come with just one of those big like plastic mugs, like just filled to the top with quarters.
That's what's going on there.
Yeah.
And then you can go get a steak at New York Steak, right? Which is what you were about to say earlier.
That's a steak.
So, yeah. There's a steak. Look at it. Look at it.
Interesting. At Seminole Casino.
Yeah. So those are the two like big like places, which is pretty good. Like it's, not every city has, like Parkland doesn't have these two things,
No.
Yeah.
No, they don't.
I mean, Parkland has its own unique things going on, but this is like, there's like a decent nightlife in Coconut Creek.
Like you said, I mean, it's very much under the radar in a lot of ways.
Yeah, totally.
So, I mean, when you talk about some of the other activities that are available in Coconut Creek, you have Tradewinds Park, which again, it was one of many parks there, but obviously Tradewinds is one that's, a little more notable. It offers equestrian trails, model steam train ride for the kids, picnic areas. So that's all right. I feel like, with the equestrian stuff, it's like, oh, wow. So you can do equestrian outside of Wellington? Because I feel like, I mean, anything with the horses, it's like, oh, I didn't know you could do that anywhere else. And yet you got disc golf. I mean, hey, if you like Frisbee golf, go get it.
That's why I pulled this up, because I've played Frisbee golf here before, like a long time ago. It's great, man. This is great. It's the best. I had a blast. There was some guys that I used to work with that like love Frisbee golf, and this park is awesome. It's huge. It's a huge Frisbee. It's it's awesome. There's a lot going on. Okay, I don't know what's going on in this photo, but yeah, it's a lot of awesome outdoor green space. Butterfly World's right next to that, which is what we were going to talk about here in a second. Yes. And Tradewinds Park kind of meanders up and through some major roads. And so there's a lot, they have the railroads. Yeah, here.
Right. I mean, if that isn't like a family photo opportunity, I don't know what is.
Yeah. So you got it all. It's all happening over at Trade Winds. Here we go. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. So good. This is a pretty awesome park as far as parks go. So again, Coconut Creek doing a pretty good job between some nightlife action in a pretty under the radar city, and also some trains and some parks and some outdoor things going on. Let's show you. Great. So within Trade Winds, as we mentioned, Butterfly World, right? Let's talk about
Well, I mean, and again, if you aren't familiar with the area, I definitely know. I can remember times driving down the turnpike and always seeing a sign for Butterfly World. And I'm like, what the heck's Butterfly World?
Yeah, here we go. This is Butterfly World. Check it out. And who would have thought that Coconut Creek is the butterfly capital of the world?
Right. You got the winter equestrian capital up in Wellington. You got the butterfly capital here in Coconut Creek. That's interesting.
It's a thing.
It looks nice. No, I mean, it's one of those things.
You know what?
I hope to check it out. It's on the. It's like it's a bucket list thing. I mean, I guess you take a date there or something. That's all I could think of.
It's so funny. I told you earlier that I haven't been here, but now as I was watching that, I remember that I have been here so long ago.
Did Dana drag you to Butterfly World?
Probably. I don't know. I don't remember. It's been so long.
You could just lie and say, well, no, a client wanted to go.
A client. Yeah, I was there with a client. No, you know what? I think I was there. I was in the park for a wedding. And I appreciated the wedding. Yeah. And so this, I remember us like in this area. Somehow we were over here doing something. I don't know. Yeah. So that is Trade Winds Park and Butterfly World. But wait, there's more.
What? Wait, there's more. Where are we going to next? The Fern Forest Nature Center?
Yes.
All right.
Let's do that. So this is Fern Forest, which is a big forest of ferns.
According to the notes, it's a tranquil nature preserve, ideal for walking trails and spotting native Florida wildlife. It is home to over 30 species of ferns. If you told me 5 minutes ago that there were more than 30 species of ferns, I would have said you're crazy.
And this is all the ferns. Check
Those
this
look
out.
like ferns. Those are definitely ferns.
As a fern expert,
I can confirm.
Oh gosh, man, there's a lot of pictures of ferns here. Yeah, so I mean, this is pretty straightforward. It's like it's just a park. It's a forest. There's some walking trails. Pretty cool though. Great nature life here. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and it would seem like this might be the time of the year to go check some of those places out. Just because, once it gets too hot, and middle of the summer, I mean, I guess you got plenty of shade, but I'm saying, generally speaking, it would be kind of right about now. I would go see something like this.
Yeah,
nature walk on.
Winter months are good for this, right? This is the best time to do this. Yeah, I have some friends every year in between the holidays, they go to Everglades National Park, which is also super cool. And that's whatever. That's a bit of a journey, relatively speaking, compared to what we're talking about. But I mean, they end up going down here, and they're out like in this area.
That's like the hardcore Everglades.
Totally, like hardcore. Like no cell reception. It's beautiful. I mean, this national.
I'm sure it is, right? I mean,
Yeah.
If you're into nature, that is nature all up in you.
Totally. Yeah. So that's Fern Forest Nature Center. So again, yet another park here, kind of in this random location. So kind of neat, hidden away. But,
okay. Now, do you want to discuss the Coconut Creek schools? I mean, obviously we know it's part of the Broward County School District. Has a lot of highly rated public schools.
Yeah, the public schools in Coconut Creek aren't usually called out as like the main ones when people come to the area. They more so talk about what Boca, Parkland, Weston, Wellington, right? Some of those schools, but Coconut Creek is also known to have pretty decent schools. So again, kind of hidden under the radar, known to have some pretty decent schools. And I'd say that's all that we should say on that topic.
Right. I was gonna say, I mean, if I had kids running around there or something, I'd be able to offer a little more insight on that. But
totally.
Yeah. So anyway, we also have a lot of neighborhoods there. Some pretty nice ones, it looks like. But what do you think about when it comes to sort of the neighborhood scene of Coconut Creek?
Yeah, there's, to your point, there's some decent neighborhoods within the city. You can find some pretty good single family home communities, some gated, some not gated, a lot more gated than others. There's not a whole bunch of new construction options, really. Most of the construction, in my opinion, was done in the 90s, 70s to late 90s, and maybe some early 2000s product. But as far as like new stuff, like 2015 and newer, there's not a lot of it. You might find some townhomes like that, but that's really the bulk of what you're going to find there. But there's some great neighborhoods, and I pulled up the MLS to kind of go through that too and talk about it. But we'll talk about just generally speaking. I want to share this with you. Let's see. I thought this was interesting, so I'll share this with you guys. Here we go. So Coconut Creek, I thought this was kind of unique. The median individual income in the city in Coconut Creek is about $40K, whereas you can see like Coral Springs, Pompano, Margate, North Lauderdale, similar. Look at Parkland, kind of unique, right? For Broward County schools. So that's or not a Broward County income. Also, you can kind of see a similar poverty rate difference, right? So Coconut Creek is kind of similar to other Broward County cities where it's like 10% or less. So overall, the median income isn't like exceptionally high, but it's about average with the others. And it's kind of similar on some level. It has some similarities to Coral Springs because it's a little bit more inland like Coral Springs is. But Coconut Creek's kind of right in that middle area. It's kind of like that central point, which gives it great access to anything and everything in the area, right? You can jump on 95 Turnpike and get places really quick. So I wanted to comment on that, but we were talking earlier about new construction before we jumped on this too, but you can kind of see this is anything that's 2014 or newer. You could see just two spots.
That's it. Wow.
That's it. And again, these are 25 properties that have either sold or are active. So there's anything newer than 2014, no other constraints. There's 3 properties available that are on the market, right? And they're all priced in that like 400, 500 range. And you can see here's one that's pending right now. You can see what these things look like. They're townhomes. So again, not a whole bunch of new construction, but you get that nice 1990s product. And we could share some of the local communities with you. I'll pull them up on the map here real quick.
What would you attribute that to? Just there just isn't enough land to work with?
I think like, for example, Boca and the big, yes, one is like there's probably not a lot of space. Like there's not really much room to build. 2, if you're like looking at a place like Parkland, there was just a whole bunch of land to do that.
Right.
Wellington, same thing, right? Weston had that for a while. And then you have like Boca, which is still squeezing them in because they can sell them for big money, right? So there's like that healthy margin, whereas Coconut Creek really doesn't have that like high end product or customer, super high end. We'll put it that way. There's a property we are looking at with a client of ours that's off market. Back to the off market conversation we were talking about earlier, and it's $2.5 million. It's right in that area over there, and it's a really big home. And our client is a builder, and so he goes in, he renovates these things, and he's possibly going to pay 2020 numbers for a pricing for that home, and he's hoping he could turn it and flip it. The big question mark around around that deal. And the risk there is like, well, is there anything else in the area that sold for $5 million? And it's like, not really. Like, what are we gonna like? Do we take the gamble, do the work, and try to find a buyer for that, or pass on the deal, right?
Mhm.
And so that's something to keep in mind. Like, let's actually do that. Let's see if we can find the most expensive thing in Coconut Creek.
Is that relatively easy to find with those MLS search capabilities when you outline the map and such?
Yeah, I mean, we can just kind of mess with it a little bit and see where it takes us.
Mhm.
Like, I haven't done anything. Hold on, here we go. So, for example, there's nothing above $3 million active in the city. Let's see if there's something that's sold, right? So you have one property that's sold above $3 million. I know what it is because I looked at it as a comp. Yeah. So this is it. And so this is not too far from the asset we're looking at.
Wow.
And so really cool. This is a really cool thing. Check this out. Like, this house is very unique, very
Yeah,
big.
that was the first thing that came to mind. I mean, that was not at all what I was going to picture.
Totally. It's very cool. It's got a lot of land. I'll show you here in a second. But so $4.5 million. We were surprised he got this big of a number. This is where you get some optimism, but on doing a deal at this price levels. Let me see. I think he spent a lot of time on market. Here we go. 329 days. Yeah. Yep. And he was asking 475, and we were all like, no, he's not going to get this. He's not going to get this. And then he gets 4.45 million. I mean, big price in my opinion. 9,000 square feet. So big house.
Yeah, I was going to say that's a lot of house.
Big lot. I mean, that's what, a few acres. What is that? That's 4 acres, something like that. You can see from the it's got stable, to your point, John, earlier. There's you get some equestrian.
Oh wow!
Action.
So what? It doesn't have a guest house. It has like a ranch and a barn.
It has a ranch barn all back there, and then it has this like super unique like space you can live in above the garages, and then big tennis court. So super cool.
Jeez.
But yeah, so there's nothing. So you don't have this like high end market in that neck of the woods, So, but if you go to like, if you want like $1 million property to like 1.5 as an example, there's still not a lot of stuff here either, right?
Mm-hmm.
Look at that. So most of Coconut Creek product is like, if we do this, most of Coconut Creek's product is, and this is live. Look at that. All of that. It's all under, hold on, we'll just go active. It's all under $1 million. You can see, bingo.
Huh.
Right? So even if you do this, just to give you some context, look at that, $750 to $1 million.
That's, geez.
Yeah. You're almost like,
and yet you had that 4.4 just popped right in the middle of it.
This is what I'm saying. So like, we're looking at this with another client and we're just like, okay, should we do this? Because what we do, sometimes is we advise for builders and developers and flippers. I work with a number of them because of my background, and kind of give some advice on, how we feel about this, how we feel about things, and they can make their own decision. Obviously, they're the pros at their own thing. They're risking their own money here. But
right. I mean, from your professional experience, I mean, are you telling them to take that risk? What is your analysis?
It looks like it could work. It looks like it could work, because you have to remember, when you do a renovation and you get a builder on board to do something like that, this is like a big project, like gut down to the studs. It's got good bones. And it's a big house, similar square feet. You get the finished product. It's almost like a new construction home. So it's like, okay, maybe you can justify that. You just have to be ready to hold on for a little while. And so it's tough. the reality is in some cases, if I know it's a huge win, a layup, I might do it. Right. So like it's a little on the riskier side for me personally. But here again, we're talking about price points and stuff. 500, 750 seems to be a price point that you start to see people in. But still, that's 68 homes in Coconut Creek. And if you did this, like that are active, if you go 500 to nothing to zero, you see 393 homes active, and they're
southern portion. Wow.
Yeah. So, and what you're seeing here, actually, this is a good comment. You're seeing here, these are the condos in Coconut Creek on this golf course. So this is a pretty popular area.
Is that like a retirement community?
You know what? Let me pull it up. I think the answer is yes, but let me double.
Just anytime I see condos with golf course, I always assume.
Yeah. Yes, it's a 55 and up, and it's a big 55 up community, as you can see, huge. So, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean that's the gist. That's the gist of just what's going on. You got the live MLS, analysis here, right? So,
yeah. No, that's wow. The price point that's very different from some of the neighboring communities. It seems like. I mean, obviously, as you mentioned, Parkland for sure. Wow.
What's nice about Coconut Creek, just like Coral Springs and Parkland, it's a little bit more inland, so you get a little bit more, call it protection from some of the potential weather storms, hurricanes, right? So there's a lot of these homes that are built in the 80s, 90s. They don't have impact windows or doors on some of this stuff, right? Because it's just like that's how they were built, and they haven't needed it for so long. Fortunately, knock on wood, right?
Right.
So, yeah.
Okay. Well, yeah. My last question about that other house that was, the 4.4 million. I mean, how old was that place? I mean, we're talking.
Oh, it wasn't that old. It wasn't
really?
that.
See, I would have. I mean, just from the style and look of it, I would have thought it was like early 20th century. I didn't know.
Hold on. Let me remind myself here. Why isn't it showing up? Oh, it's closed. Hold on. Nope. Yeah, it's super cool. So you can see too, it's on the Boca border. So, but it's not like you can just drive across it's not like you just drive across and you're in Boca. So it's not like it's actually Boca, but it's on the border. It's right next to the canal. So, and even so, a $5 million home next to Southern Boca homes here. That's kind of,
and it's not like you can ride that canal out to the Intracoastal and then into the ocean.
Yeah, it ain't happening. Yeah. Let's see. How old is this thing? Maybe, let's see if I'm right or wrong. 1990. Okay.
Oh, wow. Okay. So that recent. I would have thought it was older. Interesting.
Oh, and look at this. Palm Beach Farms. We were looking for Palm Beach Farms in Coconut Creek earlier, right?
There you have it. Not to be confused with Boca Raton's Palm Beach Farms, but
well, what's unique is this is the subdivision of Palm Beach Farms here, which is interesting. And then they've claimed there's been comments about this down here being Palm Beach Farms as well, right here, right? So anyway, there's some confusing subdivisions in Palm Beach, in Coconut Creek, because this technically, while it says the subdivision of Palm Beach Farms, it's Hillsborough Ranches, really, right? This area. So, yeah.
Who determines that? I mean, does each municipality decide on this? Because I just some of these, having to deal with a lot of these neighborhoods and such. I feel like there's always so many contradictory things that when I'm looking through the documents and stuff, I don't. I
think this stuff happened so long ago, and it was set up by like the
record
from like a long time ago, and so they named each section small. Like, so one developer had like 10 homes to build, and they built those 10 homes, and they got to name the subdivision something, right? Just like GL gets to rename their huge parcel when they get this like big piece of land, and then they subdivide it, right? But they get to name the subdivision. So when they subdivide it, so like Back in the day, smaller builders would buy smaller pieces of land, 10 parcels, 20, 30, 100, whatever, and then they'd subdivide it and name it whatever they want. But some of this stuff happened so long ago. Now it's just whatever, and they get to name it whatever they want, right? They get to name it anything they want. They're this, for the most part, I guess. So,
Gotcha.
yeah.
All right. Well, Larry, anything else you want to add about the amazing community of Coconut Creek, Florida, or are we good?
I think we should talk about this new development project.
You want to hit the new development from, what was that, 2014, 2015?
So this is the main street at Coconut Creek. Let me show you this. This is this one's in the works. This is the plans advance for 2,360 new residences and lots, more for massive main street in Coconut Creek, so this was reported just in October. So
wow, so that's recent. Okay,
this is recent. So this is like the first real project in Coconut Creek. There's only really one. It's a small city. There's not a lot going on there as far as big projects. There's not a lot of land, as we talked about. But 2,360 residences. I mean, that's serious.
That's a lot.
Yeah. So this is a big project. Again, we need housing here to keep things somewhat affordable. And you can kind of you tell exactly where it is from an aerial view. It's right here, right off of Sample, right off of 441, right in Coconut Creek. Mm-hmm. And it's, I believe, 200 acres. Let me double check. 157 acres. Somewhere it said 200. So there's probably another part of this project that they're not referencing. But 157 acres. Delivery or start date is 2025. So they're planning to do it this year, which is great. And they've been working on this for a while. This is being spearheaded by a developer called 13th Floor Homes. This isn't someone we see a lot here, but I've heard the name and I know they exist from other projects. I think it includes collaboration on Block 9, creating a vibrant community hub near Lyons Road and Sample Road adjacent to the Promenade. So Promenade right here, as you can see. So I thought maybe they actually developed the Promenade, but I thought that's what I was reading, but that's not the case. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Which is kind of interesting. 540 townhomes is the proposal, all 3 bedrooms or more, right? 1,800 mid-rise units for apartments and condos, which are all 2 bedrooms or greater. So no 1 bedrooms, and for the condos, and no 2 bedrooms or less for the townhomes, which is interesting.
Does that indicate anything to you when you see the layout that they decide to go with two bedrooms and up instead of having any 1 bedrooms available or things like that?
It's a good, it's so interesting. We have this debate, me and my partner on the acquisition side for our multifamily business. Mm-hmm. We debate, should we be buying 1 bedrooms? Should we try to get those 2s? So in my opinion, the most efficient product on the rental apartment side in our world, in the investment world that I'm in, mm-hmm. It's 2 bed, 2 baths. That's the most efficient thing. We have 3 bedrooms. We have 1 bedrooms. In some cases, these 1 bedrooms can be really good. Depending on, it's all about where you buy it. It's all about your basis, right? But at the end of the day, it seems like 2 bedrooms are pretty efficient. 1 bedrooms, if they're apartments, they tend to be a little bit more transient, or at least that's the argument. We actually haven't seen that so much in a lot of our 1 bedrooms, but that's the argument. 2 bedrooms are great. And then 3 bedrooms we've seen, it's been good. We haven't been able to squeeze out a high enough rent to make it feel like it was the most efficient use of capital versus mm-hmm. buying a bunch of 2 bedrooms. So I guarantee you they're doing this analysis as well, trying to figure this out. Also, they have certain parking restrictions and requirements to meet. They have land use requirements. So there's all these things that go into, hey, what should we actually build? What's cool about this is they're building some dense product here, which is good because, again, we need housing in this area. So in my opinion, it's good. Other people might disagree. Like in Boca, for example, it'd be hard to probably, in certain areas, it'd be hard to do like this many townhomes and mid-rise units in this little area. There might be some pushback. Oh, there's traffic. There's this.
Well, I would say there's always pushback with the traffic there.
Always the traffic thing, right? So, so whatever. So, like, if, for example, GL, now their sweet spot is to build single-family homes, but GL historically, is accepting or being able to build single-family homes, and I'm sure they'd love to maximize their profit by squeezing in another 2,000 townhomes into their parcels, but that probably wouldn't get approved, right, in certain areas. So they've really, I think, increased density here, which is again good because of the housing demand. We need more places for people to live and places where people can buy and have home ownership. So,
yeah, well, I'll tell you what, I mean, it is amazing. I had to run some errands the other day, and I was going up, State Road 7, just from like up into Wellington. And I mean, you go along, it's just, there are all those new neighborhoods that we're always talking about with GL homes and stuff. I mean, one after the other, or, they got the signs up, they're breaking ground on it soon. I was just like, geez, they're doing work out here.
It's crazy. Things aren't stopping. New construction is not stopping here. It feels like we're not slowing down. Even the super high end stuff. I mean, they're bulldozing homes left and right, putting up custom specs left and right. These builders are still trucking along. They're still selling. Things are slowing down overall on the resale side, but it's been so aggressive for so long that even things slowing down a little bit, it's not really a big factor. Mm-hmm. But one more comment on this, which is interesting. This whole project also includes a bunch of retail, office space, entertainment venues. They're saying about 100,000 square feet of that, which is a lot. So this whole area, it'd be pretty cool to, frankly, own a townhome. They'll probably get a younger population here, because if you own a townhome here and you work locally, it's not bad. You just kind of come out of your house and go to the Promenade and hang out. Like, it's a good little spot to hang and just meet people. So I think this will have a little bit of a younger crowd, and we'll be efficient. Yeah.
I was gonna say, I'll go hang out with the grandmas down at the casino.
That's where you'll be.
That's right.
You kill it with the grandmas.
All right. So do we have any other projects here? That is it. Okay. Didn't want to get ahead of myself again. All right. Well, do you have any other thoughts on Coconut Creek before we check out here?
No, that's it for Coconut Creek. And we'll see you guys on the next one. Thanks for
Sounds good. All right. For Larry Mastropieri, broker owner of the Mastropieri Group, I'm John Laws of Discover South Florida. Thanks for tuning in. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to click like and, of course, subscribe to Discover South Florida. We're trying to put out videos like this every week to keep you informed on all the latest that's happening with real estate in Discover South Florida. So, like Larry said, until next time, we'll see you later.